Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today for today's webinar, Getting Started with Hubdoc and Xero. My name is Umair, and I'll be your host for today. My role at Hubdoc is account executive. What that essentially means is that I speak with advisors like yourself on a daily basis. I get to understand how you operate your business, what are some of the pain points you're experiencing, and really identify where Hubdoc can come into use. In terms of setting today's agenda at a very high level, I want to go over Hubdoc and explain exactly how it works in conjunction with Xero, establish some of the best practices. Now, throughout this webinar, we'd love to hear from you. So if you have questions and concerns, please do feel free to use the GoToMeetings chat feature or questions feature. I'll be taking questions towards the end of the webinar. So with that being said, let's dive right in. So essentially, when you log into Hubdoc as an accountant or as a bookkeeper, you'll be taken here. This is the organizations page and is really designed to be your one-stop shop so that you can access all your clients in one go without having to log in and out of each account separately. So you'll see that your account is listed here in the top, and you'll see a list of your clients below. To access a client, simply click on a client, and you'll be taken to their dashboard. Now, Hubdoc provides all advisors with a free VIP account, and I'll talk a little bit about how you can get that set up towards the end of the call. But this is an account that you can use to upload, store, and manage your own documents. But it also gives you access to clients to manage their documents in bookkeeping as well. Now, the organizations page has some other key features as well. Perhaps one of the very first things you'd want to do is actually get started and add some clients. You'll see that here in the top right corner, we have a green button that says Add a Client Account. If I click on it, I'll be taken to the billing information page, which is where you will add your very first client. To add a client, you essentially want to enter the client's email address here. Once you hit Add a Client Account, you'll be prompted for the billing information, and the client will then receive an email welcoming them to Hubdoc, prompting them to set up a password. They'll be able to use their email address and password to log into Hubdoc, to upload documents, and manage them. Now, what happens if perhaps you want to get started with Hubdoc or create a client account, but you haven't really quite talked to the client yet? There's actually a way of setting up clients without using their email address. There's a bit of a trick known as an email alias. To set up an email alias, all you're really doing is modifying your actual email address so that our system thinks it's a different email address altogether. So for instance, my email is umair@hubdoc.com. And unless I have like 100 different other emails lying around at my disposal, I can use an email alias to create a client account. To do that, I type it out as normal to start with. And before the @ sign, you will put a plus symbol and then something to differentiate this account. It could be client 1, it could be client A, it could just be the number 1, whatever you wish, and end it off with @ in this case, hubdoc.com. And this is how you would essentially set up an email alias. Going back to the organizations page, you'll see that there's other key functionality that might be of value to you. Right next to the Add a Client Account button, there's a Manage Users button. So you may own a bookkeeping or accounting firm, or you may work for one where you work with a staff or associates of yours. You can actually add all of them to Hubdoc. They each get their own account and they can manage clients. So you can see that under my firm, I have Zachary. I've given Zachary access to 4 of my clients, and at any point, I can choose to grant him access to all clients, other individual ones, and of course, I can always revoke access or delete the user altogether. The other advantage of setting up users or staff or associates this way is that they're separated from the firm's VIP account. So as the business owner, I might have my bank statements or other personal documents in here that I wouldn't want my staff to see. So this will allow a kind of a differentiation. They will log in, they'll be brought to their own organizations page, and see the clients they have access to. Now, you'll also notice there's a series of columns here that give you tidbits of information that are valuable. Here is the docs to review column. This really gives you the number of documents that need your attention. Usually documents have gone through our OCR extraction and they're waiting for you to publish to Xero. So you'll see that over here for Bob the Builder, there are 4 documents waiting for action. The status column usually will show you 2 types of icons. You can see here, there is this orange or yellow triangle icon with an exclamation point. This really indicates there's an issue with one of the connections. So it could be that your client changed their online banking password, or perhaps Hubdoc needs further information like a personal verification question. You'll notice that when you click on that triangle icon, it takes you right to the problem. So in this case, we can see that Hubdoc couldn't log into the LCBO and PayPal account. In this case, it seems like there's an issue with a username or password. So you can click fix it, update the new password, and Hubdoc will be able to retrieve the documents for you. The other column is the staff column. This is a bit straightforward. Essentially, it indicates the number of staff that have access to this client. So you can see Bob the Builder has 1 staff member assigned to this account. And then you have 2 other columns, the access and subscription columns, which give you the access level and subscription level information. So this is the organizations page, nothing too complicated. Let's dive into one of my clients' Hubdoc accounts and go through how we collect documents and then get them over to Xero. You're brought to this interface that kind of looks like an email inbox. And so to speak, this is where the magic happens. This is where Hubdoc will fetch bank statements and credit card statements, bills, receipts, what have you. Your clients will be able to upload them here manually. And then this is also where you'll manage and organize these documents. Hubdoc will extract information and will integrate with Xero in a bit and get that synced up shortly. Now, one of the very first things we'll do is hit this Add Account button next to the search bar and set up my client's various automated connections. Really, what I'm doing here is connecting to their online banking and various other vendors, be it telecom, utilities, e-commerce, so that I don't actually have to chase them down for these documents again. So let's use a few examples. Say that one of your clients, or this client in this case, banks with Bank of America. We can search for Bank of America here. And then we're brought to this window where either you or your client can log in, just as if you were on Bank of America's website. Now, many advisors that I speak with will actually have login credentials to their clients' online banking and online billing platforms. If you don't, worry not. Your client can actually log into Hubdoc directly and add them on your behalf. And once they've done that, you would hit Add Account, and you'll see that right away, Hubdoc goes about establishing the connection, looking for new documents. I don't actually need to wait here. If I come out of this window, in real time, you can see my bank statements come in from Bank of America one by one. What's really great is that when you first connect with any bank or vendor, Hubdoc has the ability to get you documents that go as far back as 24 months in the past. So maybe you have a client that you just recently onboarded and you have a lot of cleanup work to do because they're not caught up with their bookkeeping. You'll have these historical documents to refer to. Going forward, Hubdoc will automatically get you the next statement. You won't have to log in again or request them from us. They'll simply be here waiting for you. As you see, I got logged out of here because of security reasons. We'll just jump right back in. Now, the other cool thing is that once these documents arrive in Hubdoc, Hubdoc will automatically organize and file them away. We call this auto file. So there's 2 folders here to the left under bills and statements. You'll see that Hubdoc has created a Bank of America subfolder. Within that, there's another subfolder for the account number. All my statements for this account are visible here. For any given statement, I can view the entire thing in Hubdoc itself. If needed, I have the ability to right away on the top right corner, download and print off this document as well. Now let's go ahead and set up another connection. This time we'll use a vendor. Say that your client uses Comcast for their telecom services. We can search for Comcast or simply click on the logo if you see it. And then once again, just as we did before, log into their Comcast account. In a moment, you will see that Hubdoc will automatically create a Comcast subfolder, and there it is. And within it, you will find my Comcast bills. So I made a comment earlier about documents being fetched that are historical, so it goes back as far as 2 years. The assumption I make when I say that is that many documents are actually available on those respective portals. So we know that some banks will say make only the past 6 months or the past 18 months available. Hubdoc will only be able to get what is made available to us. So if only the past 6 months are available, you'll get 6 months, but it can go as far back as 2 years. Now, Comcast is completed. You can see 3 documents were fetched. I can view all of them here, just as we did with my bank statements. And the idea is to set up as many of these connections as possible. The more the merrier, because it means you don't have to chase your clients down for these documents, and they don't need to take time out of their busy schedules to send them to you. So the question is, how else can I get documents into Hubdoc? We don't take for granted that everything is available online. Even in 2018, there's a lot of paper, and perhaps you need your clients' receipts or paper bills and statements. Even those can be uploaded in Hubdoc directly. We have a great mobile app. This is a free app that can be downloaded on an Apple or Android device. Your client would log in just as they would here. They would snap a photo, and the document will be uploaded directly to their Hubdoc account immediately. This is super useful. Maybe your client's really busy and they take out their own clients for lunches, or perhaps they're in the construction sector and they're out at Home Depot collecting supplies. They can just be out and about taking photos of their receipts and not have to worry on holding onto them and emailing them to you afterwards. Another great feature is the unique intake email feature. So every client has a dedicated email address to which they can send documents to. So in essence, your client would open up their normal email, Gmail, Outlook, whatever it may be, attach a bunch of documents in PDF or JPEG format, and send it off to this address. This address will securely bring them into Hubdoc. Another great use case for the unique intake email is to automate some of the document collection process. So some vendors like Amazon or Uber will actually email you a copy of the receipt or the purchase order right after the transaction takes place. So what I've done in my case is I take Uber when I'm out traveling and going to different places. After I complete my trip, Uber will email me the receipt. What I've done is I've gone into my Gmail and I've set up a rule, what is known as auto forward, so that any email that I receive from Uber automatically gets forwarded off to my unique intake email. This in essence makes the process automated. I take the trip, I get a copy of the email, so does Hubdoc, and the receipt is already sitting in there. No need to send it manually. And then last but not least, you can actually just drag and drop files into this little space here, or hit browse and upload documents this way. So I can select multiple documents at once or one at a time. It doesn't really matter. So I've just loaded this document into Hubdoc, and you'll notice that it's made available for me to view right away. Very recently, we've actually released new functionality, which is the audit trail functionality. So you'll see right here, there's a document ID. So there's an ID associated with every document uploaded to Hubdoc. It also tells you who uploaded the document, what date, and what time. This can come pretty handy when you have multiple users uploading documents to that one account. Now, going back to the folder structure for a second, we noticed that under bills and statements, Hubdoc created subfolders for anything coming through our automated connections. Similarly, anything you or your clients upload to Hubdoc will be found under the uploads folder. Hubdoc will also, in this case, create a subfolder that is designated by the name of the vendor. So the Freshie receipt that I uploaded will be stored here automatically. Now, if this was the very first time I uploaded a Freshie receipt, Hubdoc would extract some information off of the receipt, identify that it was Freshie, and create that folder for you. Awesome. So far, what we've looked at is how we collect documents and how Hubdoc will organize and store them. Let's move on to the data integration side, where we look at how we can get some of this information synced up with Xero. One of the very first things we'll do is actually connect to your client's Xero account. To do that, on the top right corner, you'll click on Settings, and you'll end up in this window, and you'll see there's a couple of columns here at the top. You want to go to destinations, find the Xero logo, and log into your own firm's Xero account. Once you've done that, you'll actually see a list of clients. You'll select that client, and then the integration has been established. You'll have options to push to Xero files if that's what you use. You can also publish tax data and select your default and tax exempt rates as well. Once the integration has been established, you're pretty much ready to get going. Now, the point that I want to emphasize is that Hubdoc doesn't actually use bank statements or credit card statements for the purposes of data entry. In other words, we're not going to be sending this over to Xero. The bank statement and the credit card statement is really collected for your reference, so you can use it perhaps for a reconciliation. What Hubdoc will actually use for data entry purposes are your client's source documents. These are the bills, the receipts, and the invoices that correspond with every transaction on the bank statement or the bank feed. So Comcast is a great example of that. So I go to this Comcast bill that perhaps I want to be sent over to Xero. What I will first do is open up this window to the right of the document we call the edit data bar. You'll notice that right away that Hubdoc has actually extracted some key pieces of data. We've identified using OCR that this is an invoice. It was issued by Comcast on the 22nd of May. What I'm now going to do is scroll down and find my Xero integrations under destinations, hit configure, and then code the entire transaction. What I'm really doing here is mapping out the transaction so that Hubdoc knows exactly how you wish for this to be entered in Xero. So as far as publishing goes, you can publish to Xero as a purchase, spend money, expense claim, invoice AR, credit note. If you decide to publish this as a purchase, you can set your status to draft or authorized. You can select your contact as well. Now, if you don't have a contact already created, you can create one right here. It will create a new one for you in Xero as well. One of my favorite features is the ability to split line items. Line items can be split by the chart of accounts, amounts, taxes, locations, etc. And you can add as many lines as you see fit. Now, if splitting out line items isn't relevant, then keep it simple and allocate the transaction to the appropriate chart of accounts. So in this case, we'll say this is telephone and internet. And once you're done, simply hit publish. Hubdoc will enter that transaction for you directly into Xero. Now, in a moment, we'll move over to Xero and I'll show you what you can expect on the Xero end. But a couple of points here. When it comes to recurring transactions like the Xero Comcast bill, for instance, there's a good chance that you might be coding it exactly the same way every month. And rather than having to do this over and over again, Hubdoc can automate it for you using a two-step process. If you hit save configuration, Hubdoc will memorize the coding and automatically apply that to the next month's bill. If you hit autosync, it will take it to the next level and be able to publish it to Xero for you as well. So the idea is next month, Hubdoc pulls in the next Comcast bill. It will store it for me, extract data off of it, which will code and have that entered in Xero all in one go, requiring no input on yours or your client's end. And that's it. Now, one more thing before we move on to Xero is let's look at the receipt that I uploaded a bit earlier. As far as manually uploaded documents go, there's a bit of a different process. It's not to say that there's actually perhaps a different process. It's really a time delay, if anything. So you'll see this receipt that I uploaded. If I open up the window to the right of the document, none of the information is currently available. This is not to say that Hubdoc doesn't extract data off of manually uploaded documents. We certainly do, but it can take a little bit longer for the system to read. You'll notice that this receipt is currently sitting in processing. There's a blue clock icon next to it, really indicating that, hey, I'm working on it, give me some time. And this process can take a few hours, up to 24 hours if there's a lot of documents in our system. Eventually, this document will shift into the review stage, and you'll see various documents that are waiting for you to publish to Xero. In this case, the data has been extracted. Hubdoc has identified name of vendor, date, and total amount. You would then scroll down, code the transaction, and publish over to Xero as normal. So let's now go into Xero and talk a little about what you can expect here. So if I go into my purchases, you'll see just a couple of transactions that I posted to Xero from Hubdoc a while ago. Here is one in particular. So you'll notice that for this Freshie transaction, it has been coded, the chart of accounts has been applied, and one of my favorite things is that Hubdoc actually sent the copy of the receipt to Xero, and it's been attached to this transaction. What this does in essence is auto-proofs your client's books. It's something you can refer back to, or an auditor could refer to just verify that this transaction is as recorded. Now, if I go to my banking feed at this stage, we'll see in a second that the corresponding transaction there has been matched. So if I scroll down, you can see that the Freshie transaction on the banking feed has been matched with what is already in my purchases. All you would do at this stage is hit OK, and that's it. The transaction has now disappeared and has been settled. And this is really the idea. Hubdoc will enter transactions for you. The corresponding transactions of the banking feed will get matched. You'll hit OK to reconcile. We call this one-step reconciliation. It's a very, very thorough way, an efficient way of doing bookkeeping. So there you have it. That's Hubdoc for you. Our hope is to automate your workflow, or rather streamline your workflow, enhance efficiencies, and really as a result be able to let you offer your clients a more engaging or better experience and not having to chase down for their documents all the time. So what I'm going to do now is take some questions, because I do see some questions from the audience. And then if there are more questions, we'll certainly answer them, and then I'll tell you a little bit about how to get set up. We have a question from the audience from Jeff. Jeff asked, how far do Hubdoc's automated connections fetch documents? Great question, Jeff. So essentially, when you connect with a bank or vendor, Hubdoc has the ability to get you documents that go as far back as 24 months in the past. And then going forward, it'll get you the next bill or the next statement. You would have to log in or request them from us. We'll simply be waiting for you there. Another question from Janice. Are bank statements fetched by Hubdoc meant to replace the bank feed in Xero? Thanks for asking that question, Janice. It's actually a great question. I do get that a lot. The answer is no. The bank feed in Xero is a great tool. I think I really, really like it. And if anything, Hubdoc isn't meant to replace or duplicate anything it's doing, but really supplement it. So the bank statements that we collect aren't really transactions. These are the statements available at the end of the month that you use for reconciliation purposes. Really, they're there for your reference. But we love that you use the bank feed in Xero, because Hubdoc will enter the transaction, match it for you on the bank feed, and you just hit OK and settle transactions in that way. I don't see any other questions, so while I wait for other questions, I'm going to quickly move over to how you can actually get started with Hubdoc, because I bet that's a question that some of you may have. So the other cool thing is that Hubdoc very recently, I think it's been about 3 weeks, was acquired by Xero. We're all very, very excited about this news. It means we can build a deeper integration with Xero and really offer our clients better value. And there's exciting things to come, but to celebrate this news to begin with, we're offering all new accountants and bookkeepers on Hubdoc a very cool promotion. So as I mentioned, every advisor is eligible for a lifetime free account. But in addition to that, we are offering you 5 client Hubdoc accounts as well, absolutely free for the next 6-month period. I highly recommend actually taking advantage of this promotion, because this is a great way to test out which clients Hubdoc would value or benefit from without actually having to pay for them. You can switch clients around and really use this 6-month period to determine exactly if this is saving you time. Is it really streamlining your processes and allowing your clients to just focus on their business as opposed to having to send you documents all the time. So my colleagues actually sent you the link to the Xero promo, which is just www.hubdoc.com/Xero promo. But that being said, if you have questions or concerns post-webinar, we'd love to hear from you. We have a great in-house support team. You can always reach them. You can call in or email us at support@hubdoc.com. And my colleagues also sent you a link to our help desk. This has some really useful videos and articles that go about not only setting up your account, but best practices. How do I upload documents? How do I sync them with Xero? How do I create tags? Other questions that may come up once you've actually gotten started. So I don't see any other questions. So I'll let you go. Thank you all for taking the time to chat with us today. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you so much.